Mekaba's a level 9. Welcome.
So basically, guys, Alistair equals a level 9 because Alistair can literally normal summon itself and then turn into a Mechaba if that effect resolves, and just in case it doesn't, you can hit them over the head with a card like Tasking. With that being said, though, Alistair basically is so slow that a lot of people have kind of moved away from even trying to play him at all. However, in this version, I feel like the two engines mesh so well that I had to cover it in a separate video from the other two that you saw the other day. And with that being said, let's get into it. I'm playing triple Alistair, the Invoker. Obviously, each time that you normal summon it and it resolves and it ends up in a Mechaba, you basically have a 2-card combo anytime that you can draw a card like Monstrosity, which you've already kind of seen highlighted across your screen. Basically, targeting the Mechaba, who is a level 9 again, and then special summoning out 2 different level 9s is going to be a very powerful effect to basically special summon 2 cards out of your deck. Now, with that being said, cards like Vera basically make the deck of Generaider so much faster than it used to be that we also have to kind of slip in 3 of them, and basically being a fire is perfect because having an OTK switch like Purgatrio inside your deck is always a good thing, because there's always some random rogue that sets up a bunch of stuff, and basically you want to have some kind of answer to it. Now obviously there's a lot more to be fixed with the build. This is just kind of something I've been messing around online. You may want to try out stuff like Lightning Storm because, well, if you're playing Thrust, if you want to play more than one Thrust, if you want to play Prosperity, obviously you have to kind of cover each of your bases separately. You may want to play Extravagance if you're not playing this build, as you've seen in some builds already. I basically feel like just with this build, I wanted to go for a very baseline, cheap version that people could play, and kind of like a starter deck version of it, basically. After the Alistairs, though, I'm playing Artifact Lancia. I feel like it's the best light target to play right now, and it can devastate your opponent. Obviously they're playing Cast Hero, but there's some other decks, Fluanderies, etc, etc. Artifact Lancia is just a light target that I feel like is kind of relevant right now, and it doesn't have to hit the graveyard. Double Ash Blossom, obviously, with Thrust being a thing, and then additional cards. Ash Blossom is just always generically good. Har, I feel like I usually play 2 of, but in this build I'm only playing 1. It is basically the towers, and each of the boss monsters of the Generators are separate boss monsters in the history of the game, and they got some old, other mythology. I don't care about all that. You guys can look that up for yourselves. But Har is literally towers. Hela is basically a Lumina style effect for the Generators, being able to bring cards on and off the field out of the graveyard by targeting either a Generator or a zombie. Loptier is pretty much the Stratos of the deck, being able to grab anybody out of the deck. The other Stratos, so to speak, kind of like similar to Rhino Heart and Sheeran and Unicorn and Fenrir. These 2 are the starters of this deck. Obviously it's a lot more bricky with a level 9, but you can't really do anything if you don't open up very well. So you clearly want to have cards like Boss Quest to go along with all of this. I'm playing Nib just because you die really, really hard to certain cards. Like Evenly Matched devastates this deck. Set Rotation actually smokes this deck too. I don't know if that'll ever come up where you would have to actually cross out a Set Rotation, but hey, that's up to you. And Nibiru devastates this deck as well, just because the field spell itself pretty much is 5 summons. With that being said, the Solemn Warning in Nidhogg, which again is more lore that you have to look up for yourself. And then obviously Utgarda is basically ABC Buster Dragon, if I could give it a comparison, because it just gets to banish a card completely off the field. Now it does target. That is kind of weird in today's time, but it's still a very, very powerful effect, because if you can just banish stuff outright, you're in good shape. As far as the rest of the deck, again, Thrust, Tasking, aka Tasking, I feel like is just something I wanted to mess around with. One Day being something you can jump into. Clearly One Day can be Pot of Prosperity again, guys, but for my opinion, One Day of Peace literally goes directly with the field spell, which says whenever that they draw, you get to do a whole lot of stuff. So with that being said, if you get to do a whole lot of stuff with the One Day, being able to set that up, or being able to push your opponent into force drawing stuff with a trap card like Boss Fight, I also feel like that's just really, really powerful stuff that is going to bait your opponent into playing your game, which Generators want you to do. Basically like a boss stage in a video game. You see what I did there? You can also grab Invocation if you're planning on playing this engine. You can grab Invocation off of Thrust for whatever that value is to you. And then clearly, the rest of this stuff is just experimental stuff. I really feel like Sphere Mode is nuts right now. A little bit better than Lava Golem, actually, just because of the Ibly factor that'll be inside of the meta. And additionally, you got cards like Anti-Spell that are just going to define the meta, in my opinion. And I really love a pointer in every other deck that I'm playing right now, so why not in this deck? I'd probably play Talent somewhere in here as well. You really have to kind of build this for yourself. I just feel like this is kind of like a starter place, if I could. Moving on to extra deck, just wanted to cover a few things very quickly before we get out of here. If you don't remember, the new Exceed basically allows you to drop your opponent's attack, which I feel like is so stupid, because anytime something doesn't target and drops everybody's attack or cuts it in half or anything like that, that's always a really underrated effect. But the ability to tribute cards and then special summon generators from your extra deck and then attach them. Basically, each time you're going to go into Jormungandr, which is going to force draw your opponent whenever its quick effect is activated, which forces your opponent to draw the cards, which then further triggers the field spell. So this is why this card plus this card just equals so much more speed for the deck, and this speed of Vara may be able to cover the lack of speed in Alistair the Invoker. And in the other cards, additionally, like Mirror Logic, to go along with Mirror Logic, you have to play a card like Intis. You could also play Arclight and Cerebus if you're scared of targeting that much. I wouldn't go that far. But Mirror Logic is a level 9, rank 9, that is clearly in your toolbox that you may want to check out. Phantom Fortress also is very, very ignorant. I feel like always being able to banish cards out of your opponent's hand or potentially loop them in some kind of way. I'm not going to say you can go very far. Clearly, you got cards like a Sacred Tree Beast, and the list goes on, guys. Clearly, there's no VFD. But with that being said, let me know what you think about this variant down in the combos. Would you rather play the Trius version? Would you rather play the Alistair version? You let us know, and we'll see you next time. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Pegasus out. Arrivederci.